Well, my garlic is looking absolutely tragic. Yeah, she's getting crunchy. But that means it's harvest time. I probably should have pulled them a couple days ago, but we had so much rain and the soil was so saturated, it's really not a good idea to pull them when the soil is that wet, so gave it a few more days to let it dry out. I did pull some a couple weeks ago that had really died back prematurely. It may have been due to the drought prior to our onslaught of rain. I was a little neglectful of my garlic this winter, but I'm gonna go through harvesting them all, what to look for to know it's ready to harvest, and how to dry it. So when garlic is ready to harvest, the lower 3 sets of leaves on the stem will brown. A lot of times it'll flop over if it's a soft neck garlic, but not always. I have some that are still standing very much so upright, but the lower leaves are brown, and you can see it's starting to spread out, which we definitely don't want because that means the bulb is spreading out and it won't store as long. Garlic generally takes 9 months to grow, but I find here in balmy South Carolina, it takes a lot less time because it doesn't go fully dormant over winter. Garlic is planted in late fall, early winter. In cooler climates, it goes completely dormant in the winter. It doesn't grow much, so it takes a solid 9 months to grow. But in South Carolina, we plant in November and we don't get that cold. It does get below freezing, but the garlic doesn't go completely dormant. The growth does slow, don't get me wrong, but it does still grow. So I planted these in November and it is mid-May right now. Still a little earlier than I usually harvest, but this is a new variety to me, so it could just be the variety. I have the variety I planted written down. I'm not going to try to pronounce it right now because it's really hot out and my brain's a little fried. So I'll just pop that up on the screen, but it is a Softneck variety. Softneck is better suited for warm climates like mine. Hardneck would be better suited for really harsh winters. Softneck can actually be grown where it gets snow and freezing. If you have snow on the ground all winter, it probably isn't the best choice for you and it would be better to go with hardneck. All right, without further ado, it's time to pull these up. Generally, you want to dig down and dig up the bulb instead of just pulling it by the stem because the stem can break, and you really want that stem on there while it's drying. But I just go off of how soft the stem feels and if I think it can handle me just giving it a good yank. See how spread out that is? That's because I waited too long to harvest it. All the cloves spread out, so it's not going to store as long or as well. So I'll have to use ones like this first. And I broke the stem, so hanging it to dry is going to be tricky. See how the stem has not started separating and all the cloves are together? That is ideal for storage. So that space I just harvested from is 5 foot by 3 foot. Not that big of an area. And look at how much I got. We'll go through this in a bit. I still need to grab the stragglers that are over there. Holy cow. That is the most garlic I have harvested to date. And that's not even including the stuff I pulled a couple weeks ago. All of this came out of one bed that is 5 by 3 and half of another 5 by 3 bed. That's insane. Oh, this is awesome. All right, so I did lay these out just in a shady area for now. I want some of the soil that's stuck to them to dry so I can brush it off before I go through curing them and drying them for long-term storage. So I'll be back when those are a little bit drier. Okay, so it's been maybe an hour since I've had these sitting outside. I just want to brush off some of this excess soil. It'll just make drying a little bit easier and less messy. We don't want to use anything that has... I almost knocked you over. Sorry about that. But we don't want to use anything that has too rough of bristles because you don't want to damage the skin that is quite soft right now because it's still hydrated. If you damage the skin, it's going to affect how long it stores for. So I'm just using a little dust brush here that I use for sweet potatoes too, to brush off anything that's loose and kind of stuck on there. But I am going to go through and just kind of clean up all of these real quick. I doubt you guys want to see that, so I'll be back. One eternity later, they are all brushed off the best that they can be. Man, that's a lot. And some of these are absolutely massive. Where is that big? Oh, here it is. Look at that. So why not just rinse them off, rinse the dirt off? It's because you want to limit the amount of moisture that gets introduced into these. Moisture is the enemy because they can actually rot or mold before they have a chance to cure and dry out. Now, why do we cure and dry out? Again, long-term storage. If they don't get nice and dry, they rot, they mold, they won't last very long. And the curing process actually increases their flavor. So they will taste even better and be even stronger. And if you're a garlic lover like myself, that's important. That's some crazy hair. So brush the dirt off best you can. After they're dry, a lot of that dirt will flake off on its own or brush off a lot easier. This is just to help with the now because the whole thing is still very, very hydrated. The foliage is hydrated, the bulbs are hydrated, the papers are not even papery yet. They are susceptible to damage, rot, mold, and I don't want to let all this go to waste. So let me go grab the ones that I have already cured that I harvested earlier so I can go through that process. But to cure them, you want to put them in a warm, as dry as you can get place in the shade or in the darkness that has good circulation so they can dry out. The less humid of the area and the warmer it is, the faster they will dry out. I live in South Carolina. It is humid. It takes 2 to 3 weeks. It really depends on the bulb size, but you'll know they're properly dried and cured when the greens, the leaves are completely dry, the stem is completely dry, and the papery covering on the cloves is completely dry. Into the chicken coop we go. So the ones I already harvested, I actually just hung up in the covered area of my chicken run. So it is protected from rain, it is in the shade, yet it's still outside where it's warm. and they have a chance to dry. So let me grab these real quick because I need 2 hands. Okay, so I mentioned that these had died back prematurely, so they're much smaller than the ones I just harvested, but they're kind of at different stages of drying. We'll take these 2 for example. This one is completely dry. The stem completely dry. There's no fluid in it. You can see that it has that papery covering. Yep, see that papery covering? This one looks very dry, has that papery covering, but the stem still has moisture in it. And if you split it, it's even still green in there. So you need it to be completely dry before it's done. Another one that's completely done. It's a little stained because some of these I actually harvested while it was actively raining out. Another reason you want to wait until the soil's a little bit drier to harvest. But there's no green left in that stem. So where do you dry the garlic? I mentioned that I hang it in my chicken run that is covered and shaded. I also will hang it on my covered front porch, like by the ceiling on a nail or something and some string. My covered front porch will be shaded out, will be warm, will get good airflow. I don't have a shed, so I haven't tried it in the shed. I would think that it might get a little too stagnant in there unless you have ventilation. So it could work. I also attempted in my house once, the first year I started growing. I would not recommend. My house stank of garlic. Now don't get me wrong, I love garlic, I love the smell of garlic, but it was pungent. It was a lot. It permeated everything. My clothes smelled like it, my furniture smelled like it. It was a bit much, so I moved it to my garage. It still made it into the house because my garage is attached to my house, even with the doors closed. So I learned the hard way. I need to dry my garlic outdoors under a covered area where it's not going to get rained on. It's shaded. It's your call if you want to dry them indoors. You can absolutely do that, but if you are concerned with how it's going to permeate everything you own with the smell, you might want to consider an alternative. Now, after the garlic is completely dry, long-term storage, cool, dark place, pantry, not the fridge, too cold. Pantry, cabinet, something in climate control. You can braid the stems together and hang them. I'm struggling today, I'm sorry. But you can braid the stems together and hang them. Don't ask me how to braid them together. I have yet to master that, and it's not worked out for me very well when I have tried. You can cut the stems off and just put them in like a basket. That's fine too. Once they're dry, they don't need their stems. And then they will keep for quite a long time. I'm actually going to keep the largest of the bulbs, the ones that haven't started to separate, and use those to plant my garlic for next year. Well, I've got a lot of stringing up to do. I got to get these hung to dry, and there's a lot. Hold on. Let me count how many there are. Including the ones that I harvested earlier that are already dry, that's 58. Oh, and I have already used 2 bulbs from way earlier that had already dried. So 60 bulbs of garlic. Oh, that's so cool. That is a beautiful sight. Let's just do extreme close-up so we can really appreciate the beauty. And you can really see the purple of the variety that I got. Oh, look at the purple in that one. Oh, so cool. So I guess if you have any questions, let me know. I'll be happy to answer them. Quick FYI, my 15% off sale in my merchandise store is going to be ending on the 19th. It is currently the 17th. So 2 more days to get 15% off your entire purchase, which is applied in the cart. So again, if you have any questions, let me know, and I will see you next time. Bye.